We've all been asked to do some sort of activity or task that doesn't really interest us in the slightest, and yet we still do it mainly for the purposes of keeping ourselves productive. Or maybe because you owe that certain someone a favour. Look, I'm pretty sure we've encountered on something similar to that at some point at least. However, something that makes my blood boil is the fact how people pressure others into doing something they do not want to get involved in. But today I'm specifically talking about, in my opinion, are the worst offenders of this. Parents that put different manipulative tactics on their kids to do certain things that don't interest them, which is pretty much what I see on par with slave labour. This is what I call the epitome of bad parenting. The joy of parenthood is all about loving and cherishing your child and wanting what's best for them. But one thing that really gets on my nerves about parenting is taking advantage of their kid as the means to get attention from others. And a strategy that parents do is pressure their kids into pursuing things that they have no interest in them in order to make themselves look like better parents. I'm more specifically talking about parents who would go out of their way to pressure their child in participating in a certain activity, or achieving something academically, or to partake in some sort of organization, ideology, or religion. Parents would often want their child to achieve something in life, otherwise they could end up going down paths of destruction. And usually if their kids ever go down that path, parents would fear they might look like they have not only failed their child, but failed themselves as parents. Kids of course have a lot of ambition and they want to follow their desired passion. Aspired kids want to work hard to achieve their goals, but then parents would go against that by pressuring them into doing something that they have no interest in accomplishing in the future. I mean, I understand that parents would want to let their kids experience new things in the world, and so they would often take them to various places, like the workplace. Sure, you never know, little Billy might end up becoming a police officer one day because they look up to their parent in that same role. I've got nothing against parents encouraging kids to follow possible alternative career choices and offering those options to their kids, because those little bastards can often be closed-minded and ignorant. You can negotiate alternative activities and hobbies with your child and then try them out with them. But if your child isn't interested in them, then so be it. Obviously kids don't have the mental capacity as us adults, so it'd be much easier to manipulate and take advantage of them. This is why there are actually parents out there who are willing to put immense pressure in them into following their own beliefs and views. Kids don't know any better, and there's a good chance they don't have any idea what their parents led them to do. The worst example of this is kids who protest on behalf of the Westboro Baptist Church. However you criticize the church, you cannot help but feel a little empathy for these kids and what they go through nearly every day. Because they don't have the mental capacity as their parents, they have nowhere near the understanding as their parents of what they're protesting for or for what kind of beliefs they stand up for. You know, when I see documentaries made about the Westboro Baptist Church, you usually see kids get asked about what views they stand up for, and you can tell by the expressions that they have absolutely no idea what to say. It's kind of like they're being brainwashed. There can also be some parents that just want to be the superior parent against others. So in order to do that, they would often use their kids as pawns. Being their only purpose is to stroke their massive ego and wanting their child to be successful just so they can make themselves look good. It can be really selfish and pretentious of them, and they're really going to push that to all sorts of extreme measures. If you're a parent that is really going for that approach, just don't. I could not honestly stress that enough. No one could care less about you and your child, just keep that shit to yourself. It's really hard to imagine how the child would feel under the immense pressure put on by their parents. Pressuring and putting really tough measures on your own child to pursue a certain activity or to achieve an academic credit can potentially make them feel less inspired to do that, causing them to experience a number of negative mental symptoms such as anxiety and depression. This amount of anxiety can lead to kids putting the blame on themselves if they fail, and that will no doubt put some sort of psychological stress on the kid. Every parent should understand how their child is coping mentally. That's why it's good for parents to sit down and talk to them about how they feel. If any parent keeps putting this immense pressure on their kid, it's going to make them more miserable and potentially hate them, which could lead up to them misbehaving and being aggressive to their parents, or extend such behaviours onto others outside their domestic environment. And we all know the potential outcomes of that. Now, I've been fortunate enough to not have parents like these, nor have I ever encountered anyone who's had this experience with their parents. Parents putting pressure on kids has been on my mind for a while, and this has been largely prevalent in those beauty pageant ceremonies. My distaste for parents putting pressure on kids has been on my mind for a while, as I've observed what goes on during those shows they put on. Why would anyone go out of their way to spend hundreds of dollars on something so tacky just for the purpose of exploiting your child? If you watch those shows like Toddlers and Tiaras, you don't have to look that deep into the show just to see how victory hungry those parents are. Now, it might not be the case necessarily because it's clear the show, as well as other reality TV shows, can portray people in an over-exaggerated manner, but they so desperately want their child to win, which is the only thing they desire, and it's really concerning to see little toddlers being pushed around to these extreme circumstances. It's clearly evident by seeing those poor girls getting upset nearly all the time. This is the equivalent of pet owners dressing up their pets in ridiculous costumes for special occasions so they can show them off on Instagram. The pets are clearly seen going through agony while the owners are so oblivious to it. Say, you know what?
Hey there, Brockle. Hey there. How you going? You going good?
Brocco, listen up.
Brockle, listen. No, fuck.
Oh, fuck you, man. Fucking hate you. Alright, come here. Alright, listen, I got a good deal for you. How would you like to make it big on Instagram? I'm gonna take that as a yes. Alright. I got something just for you. I'll be right back. Stay right there. Alright? Where is it? Aha! Oh, Brocco.
Brockle, come here. Come here.
Brocco, put this on. Put this on, Brocco. Come on. Put this on. Brocco, put this on. Come on. Don't disappoint me. Don't disappoint your owner. Come on. How dare you? How dare you? Come on. Don't be a disappointment to me, Brocco. Come on. Put this on. Oh, no. Fuck you. Fuck. Jesus. Fucking Christ. Put that on now. Come on. Brocco. Put the shirt on. Don't disappoint me. Come on. Put the shirt on now. Come on. Put it on. No? Oh, fuck this. Fuck you. Fuck this. Let me just finish off by saying that I'm no qualified counsellor or anything. I'm not here to give professionally tiered advice to struggling parents. But if you want some advice from an average Joe, it's simple. Let your kids follow their desired goals. I say that because it's the most common thing parents with a sound mind do. Loving and nurturing your child is the best thing that parents love about being in that role. And good parenting can warrant love and acceptance back from your child. For any parents out there, even if you're not interested in what hobby or activity or beliefs your child is into, the best thing to do is to obviously encourage them and to give them the guidance and support they need. That's the whole point of parenthood. Show little Stephanie the pathways into achieving that goal she really wants to reach, and let her do what she has to do to sustain triumph. And if you're thinking about bringing your child into your views, please, for the love of goodwill, negotiate with them. Have a dialogue with them about your interests or beliefs and let them interpret them for themselves. Don't just drag them into something they don't feel comfortable with without giving them an explanation, because if they get endlessly pushed around, they're most likely not going to succeed at all.
Hold up.
Congratulations.